Welcome to ERP Web Tutor Video Learning. Today I'm going to show you how to create a VAT only invoice in Fusion Payables on cloud. Suppose there is a business scenario when the purchase invoice has been raised but somehow the VAT has not been applied. In that case, we can raise a VAT only invoice by the following steps. So the first step would be to create a standard invoice with the same invoice line to the original invoice. Optionally, you can put the original invoice number in the invoice header description for reference purpose. Ensure that the appropriate tax rate has been applied to the line and which will generate the tax amount missed out in the original invoice. Enter another invoice line, that is line 2, with the same amount as line 1 with a negative sign. We can use the duplicate line feature to copy the line and change the amount with a negative sign. And the next step would be to make sure that the tax rate code should not be applied on line 2 so that it won't generate any tax lines. So thus, if you see here, the total line amount will be equal to 0 and invoice will have only the non-zero VAT amount. Let's take an example of original invoice number APINB-101 and the base amount with one line in the invoice is £5,000. Let's create a VAT only invoice with standard rate of 20% applied on the base amount £5,000, which will be equal to £1,000. Let's navigate to Fusion Payables on cloud. I've already logged into Fusion. Let's go to Invoice under Payables menu and create a VAT only invoice. This is the invoice screen. Let's enter the business unit as Horizon UK business unit and supplier as XYZ Company Limited. And invoice number as APINV-102 for instance. The missing VAT amount is £1,000, so we'll enter the invoice amount as £1,000. In the description, we can refer the original invoice number. The line, let's enter the original invoice base amount of £5,000. Put the charge account here by selecting one of the existing expense account. Let's apply the standard VAT rate of 20% on the line, first line, and let's use the duplicate line feature which will copy the line 1 and create line 2. Now we'll apply that trick to put a minus sign on the invoice amount to net off the line 1 and we'll remove the tax code of standard VAT rate. Let's save the invoice. So the invoice has been saved. Now we'll validate and run accounting for the invoice. You can see the invoice has been validated. Let's post the accounting to the ledger for the invoice. So if you can see the accounting has been generated. Let's see what happened to the tax lines. So you can see there is a tax, there is only one tax line of £1,000 for line 1, and for line 2 there is no tax line. Let's see the T accounts. If you see the T account, the charge account has been netted to 0, as same amount has been debited and credited. And on the tax account, £1,000 has been debited, and net credit for the liability is £1,000. So that's how we can create a VAT only invoice. Thanks for watching the video.